The usual when talking about fiction is that the main character is the most popular one, but that's not always the case. Son Goku is an icon, but if you ask Dragon Ball fans, many will say their favorite character is Vegeta, Gohan, Trunks, or Piccolo. In Kingdom Hearts, it's even more exaggerated. Sora is a very beloved character, but the most popular in the franchise is Roxas. In fact, Regular Pat, a YouTuber I really like, conducted a survey some time ago to find out who the most popular characters were. If we look at the top 10, we find this very interesting result. Not only are there huge jumps from 7 to 6 and from 4 to 3, there is also a huge difference between Sora and Roxas, more than 600 votes apart. It's not just that Roxas is the most popular character, he is by far. So today, we are going to look at his story from beginning to end to try to understand what makes him so special. Let's go. Normally this type of analysis is done in chronological order, but Roxas as a character is properly introduced in Kingdom Hearts 2, and that's where we're going to start. He is the protagonist of the first hours of the game, and from the beginning, we see that he is completely different from the main character we were used to, Sora. Sora is much more typical, someone normal enough to empathize with, but with extraordinary traits that make us want to be like him. Roxas couldn't be more different. He is extremely introverted. Even among friends, he is sometimes in silence with his head down. Prologue consists of 6 days, the last 6 days of a summer vacation. From the very first day, we see how Roxas embodies a very specific feeling. So much that I'm surprised there are so many people who empathize with him. Roxas embodies loneliness. Constantly things happen around him that make no sense, and it seems that they don't make sense just to him. The rest of the world keeps moving forward, and Roxas' behavior is treated as strange. Despite having a group of friends who appreciate him, Roxas can't help but feel alone. It is very difficult to convey the feeling of being alone despite being surrounded by people, but this game does it very well. Let's start showing examples. On the second day, the group promises that they will go to the beach before summer ends, so they work hard to get enough money for the train and food. When they finally have it, a mysterious man appears before Roxas and takes the money. But when Roxas realizes, the others say that they didn't see anyone, that Roxas tripped on his own. So not only does Roxas feel guilty for ruining his friend's plan, but he also has to endure their looks when they describe what happened in a way he knows is false. On the fourth day, Roxas wins the struggle tournament. The trophy has 4 gems and he shares them with his friends. But due to something that happens at the end of the day, he loses his. The next day, his friends share a moment looking at their gems, but Roxas is left out, always excluded, always alone. That same day, Roxas sees a train, but his friends don't, and once again he has to endure being looked at as if he were weird or crazy. The first time you play, what you focus on is the mystery. Why are these strange things happening? Why are they happening to Roxas? How is Roxas connected to Sora and the overall plot of Kingdom Hearts? But when you return to this prologue knowing everything, the focus shifts to Roxas. And you realize that these 6 days are nothing more than extended suffering. It has some comedic moments here and there and a couple where he manages to share happy moments with his friends, but these moments only serve to make you fond of him and suffer even more the approaching tragedy. On the 6th day, we reach the point of no return. When Roxas goes to meet his friends, his hand passes through them. They don't see him or hear him. When Roxas looks at the photo they took, he sees that he is not in that photo. As Roxas goes to the mysterious mansion to find out once and for all what is happening, this town that used to be always full of people is completely empty. It's one of the few times in the franchise that there isn't even any music. Only hear Roxas' footsteps. The game is doing everything to make you feel alone. Let's make it clear now, in case someone is new or needs a reminder, I'm going to tell you the lore of the Nobodies and Roxas. If you already know it, you can skip to this time. In the universe of Kingdom Hearts, when someone loses their soul, here called a heart, the darkness of their heart becomes a monster called a heartless. Normally, the body ceases to exist, but if the person had great willpower, the body clings to life and becomes another monster, a nobody. But if the person had extraordinary willpower, despite becoming a nobody, they maintain a human appearance. In Kingdom Hearts 1, Sora becomes a heartless, but he is resurrected. This creates an extraordinary circumstance in which the original person and the nobody coexist. But due to the events of Kingdom Hearts' chain of memories, Sora falls into a coma, and to awaken, he needs his nobody, Roxas, to return to him. Sora will never wake up without Roxas. One must sacrifice himself for the other. Roxas, before this prologue, was captured to force him to merge with Sora. This place, which he believed was his home, is nothing more than a matrix, designed to keep him complacent until the right moment. All the life he believed he had lived was false. There was something in him that already knew it, even before strange things started happening, which were literally glitches in the matrix. From the beginning, Roxas knew he was alone. The only real person who treats Roxas with some dignity is Namine. Namine suffered from a similar loneliness, and she tries to make what are, in a way, the last days of Roxas' life more pleasant. But even though Roxas appreciates this act of kindness and compassion, the encounters with her remain pure suffering. Sora is a heroic and extremely kind person. Roxas is nobody. He has value as a person, of course, but compared to Sora, he is nobody. Everyone wants the hero to return, and for Roxas to die so that Sora can live. It's the best thing that could happen. No, I'm lying. The best thing would have been if Roxas had never existed. If that were the case, Sora would have awakened long ago. Can you imagine being told, with complete certainty, that the world would be a better place if you weren't in it?
Yes, I would like to know. What do you know about me that I don't?
You were never supposed to exist, Roxas.
What? How could you even say such a thing? Even if it were true.
I'm sorry. I guess some things really are better left unsaid.
After what I mentioned earlier happens, that Roxas seems to have disappeared from the picture and from the world of his friends, Roxas appears to know what is going to happen, and he expresses it in a way that, honestly, makes me very sad.
It's just... I think I've been running away from the question I really want to ask. What's gonna happen to me now? Just tell me that. Nothing else really matters anymore.
The voice actor for Roxas, Jesse McCartney, does an incredible job with this character, and it would only get better game by game. After progressing a bit further, Roxas finally manages to escape the Matrix. He recovers all the memories of his real life as a member of Organization 13. At this moment, Roxas realizes everything. Everything that happened to him in Organization 13, which we will see in another game, starts to make sense. Roxas understands that he is going to be forced to die for someone he doesn't even know. He understands that his entire existence has been a suffering that will not be rewarded. And we see for the first time a reaction very different from sadness: anger. But recovering all his memories means he has also regained all his powers. When Axel, his only friend within Organization 13, shows up to force him to return, Roxas draws his 2 Keyblades. It will take a long time until it is explained why he has 2 Keyblades. Roxas spends almost the entire prologue feeling sorry for himself. Even when he does cool things like the battle against Twilight Thorn, he usually gets overwhelmed by something immediately afterwards. But here we have what is called a last dance. The last dance is a trope that refers to someone who, when faced with their inevitable death, gains a strength or courage that they use to do something important before passing away. Roxas is going to merge with Sora, but by giving Axel this beating, he screws Organization 13 one last time. If Namine was the person who treated him with dignity, this is the person who treats him without any dignity at all. Every word he throws at Roxas is raw venom, meant to cause the greatest possible pain. And unlike with the computer and Axel, Roxas can't even take the satisfaction of wrecking what he has in front of him to alleviate his pain.
Why? Who are you?
I am a servant of the world. And if I'm a servant, then you should consider yourself a tool at best.
Was that supposed to be a joke? 'Cause I'm not laughing!
My apologies. This is only a data-based projection.
At last, this departs, and Roxas reaches the end of his destiny.
Sora.
Something that has always fascinated me about this moment is that despite how important it is for Roxas to return to Sora, we never get to see it. His last words are spoken, the camera pulls away, and the game's title appears. A couple of scenes later, we see Sora wake up. That's it. But the true center of the scene is Roxas himself. After so much pain and so much anger, when he finally meets Sora, he resigns himself. So much time wondering who Sora is, why he is so important, why he deserves to live more than him, and he is just another kid. Maybe that's why Roxas accepts his death, because maybe all his suffering isn't for nothing if someone lives, even if it's not him. Maybe that's why Roxas tells Sora that he's lucky. And the game uses the summer vacation like a dagger to hurt one last time, because it's here, when you realize that the 6 days of the prologue were not a countdown to the end of the summer vacation. They were a countdown to Roxas' death, but you only realize it when Roxas says his last words.
You're lucky. Looks like my summer vacation is over.
This prologue lasts only 2 or 3 hours. The game easily goes on for another 20 or 25, but Roxas' presence is constantly felt. Roxas acquired memories from Sora, but having had his own life before merging, now it is Sora who has memories of Roxas, albeit trapped in the subconscious. When Sora counts the heroes that will face Organization 13, he inadvertently counts 6 instead of 5. Him, Riku, Mickey, Donald, Goofy, and Roxas.
With the 5 of us, 6 of us, there's nothing to worry about, right?
The first new power that Sora acquires is the ability to wield 2 Keyblades at once, like Roxas. Some members of Organization 13 call Sora Roxas.
Only you could have made it this far in one piece, Roxas.
That's really getting old.
But Roxas is treated like someone who is no longer among us. After all, if he is still alive, he has no way to show it. But that changes with Axel's death. Axel, Roxas' only friend. After he merges with Sora, Axel decides to leave everything behind in order to get his friend back, even if it means kidnapping Kairi and hurting Sora to get his way. When this causes Kairi to end up trapped not by him, but by Organization 13, he realizes how low he has fallen and decides to help Sora save her, and ends up giving his life for it. Maybe Roxas was alone, but at least there was someone out there who cared.
What were you trying to do?
I wanted to see Roxas. He was the only one I liked. He made me feel like I had a heart.
Roxas even loses Axel. Now he's truly alone, and he lost him because of Sora. Sora. Everyone says that Roxas shouldn't have existed, but if it were Sora who had never existed, all this suffering would have never happened. And we realize that Roxas, in a way, is still alive when he feels that anger we saw before, an anger that allows him to confront his other self. This fight that literally takes place inside Sora's heart is one of the best in the game. We are on the other side. Instead of embodying a furious Roxas, we are facing him. He attacks quickly and with force, each of his strikes showing his anger and his desire to exist. This is not a fight between someone with good intentions and another with bad ones, not even between someone who is right and someone who is wrong. This is a fight between two kids who just want to live, but one must die so that the other can live. It's unfair, but it's the reality. This fight is nothing more than a tragedy, and that's why the song that accompanies it is not intense like the fight. It's sad like the tragedy. This song is a more powerful version of Roxas' theme, but the interesting thing about it is its name, The Other Promise. Not many know what it refers to. Sora promised Kairi that he would return with her to the beaches of Destiny Island, a promise symbolized by the good luck charm she gives him. Roxas promised that he would go to the beach with his friends, not just in the Matrix. Although we haven't seen it yet, he also promised it to his real friends, Axel and Chi. But only one of them will go. The first promise we saw is Sora, so Roxas's is the other promise. During this fight, Roxas seems to take pleasure in vaguely answering Sora's questions. For once, he is the one who has all the information and his rival who does not. But even so, Roxas loses this battle due to sad ignorance. As we will soon see, throughout his life, no one explained anything to Roxas. He doesn't even know exactly how the keyblades he wields work. And that's why, despite apparently leaving Sora defenseless, he loses. Because he doesn't even know something that Sora has known since the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1, that a Keyblade wielder can summon it at will. At least, something good comes out of all this. In some metaphysical way that I won't bother trying to explain, this allows Roxas to have one last conversation with his only friend before he finally passes on to the beyond. Between his defeat and this moment of peace, Roxas calms down again and accepts Sora, perhaps not as someone better than him, but as someone who does deserve to live, even though poor Sora is not aware of any of this.
You make a good other.
You make a good other.
Are you okay?
What just happened?
I love that it is implied that from this point on, Roxas has some level of influence over Sora and decides to use that influence positively. In this game, Sora can empower himself in combat by using the power of others. This is called Drive. In Valor form, he uses Goofy's power. In Wisdom form, Donald's. In Master form, Mickey's. The final form, the most powerful, which you can unlock after this fight, in which Sora uses 2 Keyblades with equal mastery, powerful light attacks and white garments. Clearly, Sora is using Roxas' power. During the last hours, as you advance through Organization 13's castle, massacring these villains, you reach this room. This shows that the members have private bedrooms, so it is assumed that this is where each one accesses theirs. All these bright images indicate the title and weapon of each member. All shine in red, indicating that the member has died. All but one. In a way, Roxas is still alive, although not as we would like. Roxas doesn't get his revenge against Xemnas, the leader of Organization 13 and the center of all the pain caused, but we do get some satisfaction. During the final battle, Riku receives 2 hits while protecting Sora that leave him out of combat, but Sora takes advantage and grabs Riku's Keyblade. During the final beating that causes Xemnas' downfall, Sora wields 2 Keyblades, just like Roxas does. In a way, Roxas has been part of the fall of the villains. The game ends with Sora's promise fulfilled. Sora, Riku, and Kairi finally reunite on the beaches of Destiny Islands. It's the first time the 3 of them are there together and at peace since the beginning of the first game. But the game gives us a backstab, reminding us that this has happened because of the sacrifice of Roxas and Naminé, even if they accepted their fates with virtue. The next game is Roxas' game, 358 between 2 days for the Nintendo DS. This game promised to tell us about Roxas' life as the 13th member of Organization 13 and the events that will lead to the prologue of Kingdom Hearts 2. While I still think the first game has the best overall story, I think this one is the best written. And that's a big part of why Roxas, Xion, and Axel are among the 3 most beloved characters in the franchise. You're going to call me crazy for what I'm about to say, but I've only seen one other game do something as excellent as Days. Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm not joking, in terms of plot, these 2 games are very similar. I'm going to give spoilers for this game, so if you don't want to hear them, skip to this time. Both games are about the most important members of a cult. If you played other games in the series, you know from the beginning that it's a cult, but if this is the first one, you might believe what your superiors tell you and realize the truth roughly at the same time as the protagonists. During both games, the first half is relatively happy, showcasing fun adventures and endearing the characters to you, but the second half shows the slow, cruel, and sad destruction of everything our protagonists loved, particularly the death of loved ones. Both games end with a last dance in which the protagonists have a spectacular battle but die without achieving anything tangible. The satisfaction would come in another game, in which another protagonist would achieve the victory and revenge that Roxas and Arthur Morgan never had. Roxas may have the honor of being the video game character whose entire life we have seen the most. The game begins with literally his birth, after which he is immediately abducted by Organization 13. Roxas is unique among nobodies. Normally, they retain their memories, but since Sora was resurrected almost immediately, Roxas is born empty, like a baby. We don't see the first 7 days of his life, but it's implied that all he did was wander around in silence. When the tutorial begins, Roxas is already speaking, but he spends a lot of time quiet, and even when he does speak, he tends to use short sentences, showing a complete lack of understanding of the world around him. Now I'm going to say other thing that might blow your mind. It's no mystery that Sora and Roxas have very different personalities. In fact, I myself started the video by stating this. But what if I told you that Sora and Roxas actually have exactly the same personality? The reason they seem different is because they both have completely different lives. During the peaceful period of this game, Roxas shows identical facets to Sora, such as great kindness, a touch of arrogance, and a total lack of ambition or desire to understand the world around him, even though he enjoys living adventures in other worlds. As the game goes on, and we move from a pleasant tone to a depressing one, we see how Roxas' life makes him acquire the seriousness, loneliness, and fury that we will see in Kingdom Hearts 2. The tutorial and the first missions are presented with various members of Organization 13 teaching Roxas to fight, use magic, explore, etc. But they also introduce Axel, who has been assigned to take care of and watch over Roxas. To do this, Axel introduces him to a tradition. After each mission, they will go get ice cream and watch the sunset from a clock tower. Thus, a routine is created. Wake up, prepare your gear, mission, ice cream, sleep. Axel leaves to Castle Oblivion, and just as he was tasked with taking care of Roxas, now Roxas is tasked with taking care of a new member, Xion, who also seems to be recently born. We can assume that she has been treated as poorly as Roxas, and she hasn't even had Axel as someone to rely on. So even though Roxas behaves awkwardly, since he doesn't feel ready to be a leader or mentor, she appreciates the kindness. So much that her first word is...
Roxas.
Huh? Xion?
Roxas is your name.
Yeah.
This is adorable. It's like a baby's first words being the name of their older brother. In the next mission, Xion, like Roxas, seems to have acquired the ability to communicate properly and reveals her face. Shortly after, they discover that she can also wield a Keyblade, and Roxas decides to do for her what Axel did for him. This simple act of kindness worthy of Sora makes Xion very fond of Roxas. In fact, Roxas falls into a sleep like Sora, although his lasts only a few weeks. During that time, Xion visits him every day and gives him a seashell as a kind of tradition that brings good fortune. After a couple of setbacks, Axel returns, and this new trinity is finally forged. The protagonists of Kingdom Hearts are arranged in a trinity of trinities: Sora, Riku, and Kairi, Aqua, Terra, and Ventus, and Roxas, Xion, and Axel. But it is the latter that we see in more detail. We get to know them separately. We see how they come together, we see how their friendship evolves, we see how they do things to help each other, and we will see how this friendship breaks, despite how much they care for each other. And speaking of helping each other, it turns out that Xion has lost the ability to use the Keyblade. Since this would make her useless in the eyes of the organization, Axel devises a plan, convincing Sykes that Roxas and Xion should do their missions together to kill more and more powerful Heartless, to buy time until Xion regains her Keyblade. With the union of these three, we conclude the first part of the game. The next hours you spend with Xion will be the most normal of this title. Normally, in Kingdom Hearts, even when you play with a protagonist who travels alone, they usually interact with Disney characters constantly. But Roxas, as a member of a secret group, avoids such interactions. So we have a strange Kingdom Hearts where we are almost always observing from the shadows. But now that we have Xion, her and Roxas interact. These missions contain the most cutscenes and, without a doubt, the funniest. The routine that had already been established now has an addition. After each mission, the three of them talk about what happened during the mission, and most of the conversations are very entertaining. In particular, when Roxas and Xion learn a concept they didn't know. Like children, they run to ask Axel, who is terrible at explaining things, but is the only one who can explain it to these two. For example, they know they are friends, but when the genie from Aladdin talks to them about having a best friend, they ask Axel the difference between a friend and a best friend, and whether they are friends or best friends. In each of these conversations, it becomes clear why Xemnas' cultist manipulation has affected everyone except Roxas and Xion. Xemnas has convinced everyone that because they are nobodies, they have no heart. Literally, this is the first thing he says to Roxas.
You feel nothing. Nothing is real. I can give you purpose.
He has convinced everyone that they cannot feel, and anything that resembles it is just the memory of having felt. But Roxas and Xion have no memories, so it's obvious that when they feel, they truly feel. Their behaviors are the obvious proof that Xemnas is a liar, but since they are currently satisfied with their lives, they don't question it. Any doubt could ruin the life they have. Following this line of thought, in Beast's castle, Roxas and Xion see that Beast confronts the Heartless to protect his servants. Briefly, Roxas realizes the difference between Beast, a leader who defends those below him, and Xemnas, who sends his subordinates to deal with problems. Roxas almost realizes that he is being mistreated by his leader, but since this would be problematic, he decides not to think about it, as he prefers to simply do what he is told so he can have ice cream with Axel and Xion. At no point are these missions what I would call fun. I haven't mentioned it until now, but the gameplay of Days is the worst in the franchise. Both the movement and the combat are bland and repetitive. Many of the missions can become very boring, very frustrating, or both at the same time, but unintentionally, this was a brilliant move because it makes the game better. Yes, you heard me right, missions are boring, frustrating, and sometimes both. You know what else is? Studying and working. Unintentionally, the game makes us experience the same thing as Roxas. Doing missions is a pain in the ass, but it's worth it because after each one, you can spend some time with friends. Every afternoon at the clock tower shines brighter because it's a reward.
Find things, old boy, which are more brilliant when unfinished than when finished too much.
It is in this part of the game when the best conversation of the game in the clock tower takes place. Even though it's a casual scene, it is one of the best in the franchise. It flows perfectly, as if it were a real conversation where they go from a serious topic, worrying about Xion if she doesn't recover her Keyblade, to joking around, with Roxas teasing Demyx for being so lazy and Axel trying uselessly to defend him. And then it shifts to another serious topic, in particular, Roxas wondering what kind of person he used to be, and Axel falling silent, even though he has met Sora. This type of scene is another reason why so many people adore these characters. Part of why Aqua, Terra, and Ventus are not as beloved is due to the absence of these moments. Eventually, Xion recovers her keyblade in one of the game's funniest missions, where Roxas lends her his and he proves to be a master of improvisation. What are you gonna use? I can improvise. Roxas, that's a stick. There's something magical about beating the shit out of something with a stick. Although we no longer have Xion by our side to share the missions, we still have the conversations in the clock tower. In one of them, Roxas asks Axel what love is. It's the closest we'll get in Kingdom Hearts to a conversation about the flowers and the bees. Another one of my favorites is in Olympus Coliseum. A rather funny mistake occurs, and Phil believes that Roxas is a hero in training, so he trains him. Phil sees Roxas' strength and potential, trains him hard, and ends up telling him that he has great expectations. Roxas thinks about what it means to have expectations of someone. He realizes that Phil wants him to improve as a person, while Xemnas wants him to do what he says, nothing more. For Phil, he is a student. For Xemnas, he is a tool. But as before, since he is satisfied with his current life and doesn't want to lose his friends or his ice cream, Roxas lets it be. Or the famous vacation day. This day completely breaks Roxas's mind. What is my job during vacation? What's your... Roxas, you're really missing the point. It's not my fault I've never had one. I don't know what to do. Do what you like. But I don't know what I like. What do I want to do? Ice cream. Although Xion and Axel end up going to get ice cream too and they share a good afternoon, this is a sad representation of Roxas' complete lack of ambition and independence. We've been without drama for quite a while, haven't we? It's about time the depression came back. Xion meets Riku, and they fight. This starts a domino effect, in which Xion reconsiders her surroundings and begins to investigate. She discovers several things. The worst of them is that she is not a nobody. She is a replica, a half Sora, half Roxas clone, created to have someone completely docile who can wield a keyblade. As Xemnas was afraid that Roxas, Sora's nobody, would gain independence and turn against them. These revelations and several failures in missions caused Xion to fall into a coma for 3 weeks. During this time, we see how much Roxas cares about her, how he worries a lot and visits her every morning, returning to her, one by one, day by day, the seashells she brought him when he was the sleeper. Since Roxas fell asleep, both him and Xion have had dreams and visions of Sora and his adventures. When this happens, the game takes advantage of being on a Nintendo DS, placing Roxas at the top and Sora at the bottom, allowing you to briefly control both of them. It's an excellent way to make you identify with Roxas to experience the same strange feeling he has. Both were unaware of this, but now that Xion is discovering truths, she can no longer continue as before. Roxas and Axel see the change in her behavior and try to cheer her up. They end up making a promise that on the next vacation, they will go to the beach together. The scene is a happy one, but for the player, it is sad, because we know how this story ends and that they will never go to the beach. In search of the truth, Xion leaves the organization. This is a huge blow for Roxas, but he tries to take it as a moment of weakness or a misunderstanding. This is where we start to see how Axel's habit of lying will cost him his friendship with Roxas. He tries to pacify the situation, but all he does is buy time, and in the future, Roxas will not appreciate everything Axel has hidden from him. When he finds Xion and tries to take her with him, she sadly erases her keyblade against Roxas. Axel appears, and he is willing to bring Xion back by something worse than just holding her hand. They have a fight that is brilliantly directed, because instead of focusing on the battle, it focuses on Roxas. There are many fights between friends in Kingdom Hearts, but this is the one that hurts the most, because Roxas is paralyzed with horror. He is so kind and loves them so much that he couldn't even imagine they could end up hurting each other. When he screams for them to stop, Xion hesitates, and Axel takes the opportunity to knock her out. Officially, the friendship is over. The three love each other, but their circumstances have created a divide. Xion needs to find out the truth, and seeing Roxas so innocently ignorant hurts her. Roxas doesn't forgive Axel for using force to make her come back, and Axel distances himself from both because not only does the conflict hurt him, but knowing much more than they do and having to lie to them hurts him even more. After each mission, Roxas goes to the clock tower and eats his ice cream alone. It's sad and depressing. He even writes in his journal that it's stupid, that all it does is make him sad and get his hands dirty with melted ice cream, but he still goes every day. Do you remember what I said before? That the game is shown because it put us in the role of Roxas doing a boring or frustrating job that was worth it because in the end you had an afternoon with your friends. Here the game also shines by taking away those moments from us. Now we only have mission after mission without moments of comedy, without moments of friendship. That's why the last third of this game is so depressing, because we are living the same thing as Roxas: work and loneliness. Sometimes Axel or Xion show up, but it's an exception. Roxas shows his loyalty to his friends by going every day, as if each day he were giving them a chance to make amends. One of my favorite scenes from the entire saga is the day when both Axel and Xion go to the tower. The three of them sit down in complete silence. Everything that has happened and everything that will happen affects their friendship, but does not destroy it. Not even close. That's what this scene means, and I love it. They start talking again after Roxas and Xion have a mission in Agrabah. There, they see that Roxas is exhausted and Xion stronger than ever. Roxas doesn't think much about it, but Xion already knows more about the plot and quickly finds out that, as a replica, both her and Roxas are acquiring Sora's memories, but she is also draining Roxas of his strength. That's right, not only must Roxas and Xion return to Sora for him to live. If Xion lives, Roxas will not. This makes Xion decide she is going to return to Sora, because that option will cause the least suffering, no matter how much it hurts her to die and separate from her friends. But first, she has to escape the organization again, and while she plans her escape, something else happens. Normally, Sykes treats Roxas and Xion terribly, as if they were nothing. One day, suddenly, Sykes shows kindness and humility while asking Roxas to eliminate the Heartless. This surprises Roxas, and it should surprise you too. Well, it turns out that the bastard had planned a deception, using an illusion to make Roxas and Xion face each other, believing that the other is a Heartless. The illusion dissipates only when Axel intervenes. For me, this is Sykes' worst moment. Seeing him pretend to be kind and lie while sending Roxas to his death infuriates me every time I see it. Now that Roxas is weakening, Xemnas decided to get rid of him and keep the stronger Keyblade wielder. They are nothing to him, just tools. Without knowing what to say, the three of them go to the clock tower. They realize that it is the first time they are together and at peace in a long time, and they share an afternoon as they used to. This is the last moment of peace before the final tragedy. The last 5 days of this game are not only the best part of it, but one of the best segments I've ever experienced in any video game. Xion manages to escape again. This leads Xemnas to give up on her. She will never be loyal to them, they have to stick with Roxas, so he tells everyone about her nature as a replica and orders her death. Roxas is stunned. He knew something was going on, but he never imagined this mess. When he talks to Axel, he finally realizes that he knew more than he said. He has lied to him a lot and for a long time. The mission for today is perfect. You must take an artifact to a specific place and protect it from some Heartless. Roxas finally sees that he is little more than a slave, suffering and risking his life for reasons he doesn't understand. Today, protecting something he doesn't even know what it is, obeying a man who considers him just a tool. At the end of the mission, Roxas laments his existence and wonders if he has a place to belong. He at least had friends, but now, with one who has abandoned him and another who has been lying to him for months, he feels completely alone and cries. But this suffering causes in Roxas what Xion already felt. Roxas now needs to find out the truth, and he gives Axel an ultimatum. Either he tells him everything he knows or he leaves. Axel, who tries to keep the lies in a futile effort to keep his friends close, refuses, and Roxas explodes, releasing everything he has inside.
Who am I really? I'm special like Shion, I know that. But the organization wanted me out of the picture. Am I right?
Yeah, they did.
I guess it's 'cause Shion copied my powers and the Keyblade's powers. And they didn't need me anymore. And Axel, I guess you felt the same way.
You're wrong there. You'll always be my best friend.
Best friends are supposed to be honest with each other. Who am I, Axel? Xemnas says me and Shion are connected to each other through Sora. I don't even know a Sora. Am I a puppet like Shion?
You're different from Shion.
Then why
Finding out the truth doesn't always work out for the best.
What makes you so sure about that? I have the right to know the truth. How did I even get here? Why am I so special? Where did I learn how to use the Keyblade? I hardly know who I am. What is so wrong with wanting some answers?
Roxas.
I need to know, Axel. Please. Who am I?
You've just gotta trust me, Roxas.
I don't. I can't.
Roxas.
Somebody knows where I came from. If I can't get answers here, I'll get them somewhere else. That'll be the person I trust.
I said at the beginning of all this that Roxas is an occult. This scene best illustrates it. Xemnas managed to prevent Roxas from questioning important things like who am I and how did I get here? And as soon as Roxas starts to think about these and many other questions, any illusion that the organization is not a cult shatters. Roxas begins to flee the castle and the nobodies attack you. Roxas was never free to leave. This castle was never a home. It was always a prison. I love the confrontation between Roxas and Sykes. Sykes never cared about Roxas, but now Roxas doesn't care about Sykes in the slightest. He sees him for what he is, just another slave of Xemnas. This fight couldn't be more impersonal. We don't accept resignations. I've got nothing to say to you. Then let's keep this short and sweet. The next day, Axel finds Shion. Already hurt by losing Roxas, he can't bear the thought of losing Shion as well, and he ends up exploding too. He might be a liar and the last of the three to leave the organization, but that doesn't mean he isn't suffering too.
What's your problem? You both think you can do whatever you want. Well, I'm sick of it. Go on, you just keep running. But I'll always be there to bring you back!
After the battle, Axel manages to return her to the castle, but collapses from exhaustion. Xemnas arrives and takes his puppet. Cold, calculating, and silent. Just in case it wasn't clear yet that Xemnas sees them merely as tools. Day 357. The game lets you loose in Twilight Town. For the first time in the entire game, you are completely free, but neither you nor Roxas have any idea where to go. At some point, you will realize where you need to be. It was obvious.
Where did I think I could go? What a joke.
Shion appears. It is not clear what happened to her after Xemnas took her, but she has reached a critical point. Having absorbed so many of Sora's memories and so much of Roxas' strength, she is becoming Sora himself. It's never really clear why she attacks Roxas, but based on what the game presents, I have a theory. Xion knows she has to sacrifice herself to save Roxas, and both would have to do it to save Sora. So now, as she loses control, she confronts Roxas. If she wins, she will return to Sora. If Roxas wins, he will be the one to absorb her powers, and he will be free to do whatever he wants with his life. This battle is by far the best in the game. We visit 3 Disney worlds, the exact location where Sora locked the keyholes in the first game, and Xion is overloaded with memories of Sora by the mysterious artifacts. That's right, these things are made to mess with Roxas, and you were so caught up in the cult's lies that you planted one of them yourself. In each form, Xion uses one of Sora's attacks. Sonic Blade in the first, Ragnarok in the second, Ars Arcanum in the third. But the real fight begins in the 4th phase, where they fight in front of the clock tower. This place that once meant peace and love becomes the battlefield for the game's biggest fight while one of the franchise's best songs plays. Just as Roxas' theme had a battle version, The Other Promise, Xion's theme becomes Vector to the Heavens. By the way, while vector refers to the mathematical concept, it is also used as going to, path to, or return to. And the name Sora means sky in Japanese, so the song really says, returning to Sora. The battle ends and Roxas emerges victorious. Xion's death is one of the saddest moments in the entire franchise, and it is the true origin of Roxas' suffering. Even worse than having to sacrifice yourself for another. Having your loved one force you to hurt them and watching them die in your arms, all because of the manipulations of a selfish person. Xion tries to console Roxas and asks him to at least free the hearts they captured while working for Organization 13. The part that hurts me the most in this scene is when Xion puts her hand on Roxas' face. It makes me think how this is the only physical affection Roxas receives throughout the entire game.
Goodbye, Roxas. See you again. I'm glad I got to meet you. Oh, and of course, Axel too. You are both my best friends. Never forget. That's the truth.
No. Xion! Who else will I have ice cream with?
When Xion dies, she leaves behind a seashell, like the ones she left for Roxas while he slept, and he returned to her when she slept. And then you understand why this day, number 357, was titled Tears.
Xion.
We reach the last day, 358. Roxas has completely lost his mind. His greatest terror was losing his friends, and it has come true. There is absolutely nothing inside him but pain and fury. He returns to the world that never was, armed with both his Keyblade and Xion's. Now we understand why he has 2 Keyblades. The Kingdom Keys become Oathkeeper and Oblivion. The Oathkeeper, Blade of Light, represents the promises that were made, going together to the beach, always being there to bring them back, freeing Kingdom Hearts, and Oblivion, Blade of Darkness, represents the death of these promises, lost to Oblivion. He marches, determined to fulfill Xion's last request to free Kingdom Hearts, but instead of doing it intelligently, his anger drives him to run straight ahead, intending to massacre anyone who stands in his way. Riku intercepts him, aware that this is a suicide mission. If Roxas dies here and now, Sora will not awaken and Xion will have died for nothing. Roxas is the more powerful of the two, but Riku knows what's at stake and sacrifices his body using all his dark powers to knock out Roxas. And that's how he was captured. That's how he was put into the Matrix of Kingdom Hearts 2. The last thing we see is day 359, which is also the first day of the prologue of Kingdom Hearts 2. Roxas wonders if they today will finally go to the beach, and the game ends. Combining the 358 days of this game and the 6 from the prologue of Kingdom Hearts 2, Roxas lived for 364 days. The 7th day, the day Sora awakens, would ironically have been his only birthday. For a long time, except for a couple of appearances that we will now see, this was the complete story of Roxas, a boy who was born and manipulated to become a slave. He found friends and lost them because of his manipulator. And he didn't even have the chance to take revenge because he had to die too so another could live. The only consolation is that that other one managed to finish what he started, ensuring that no one would suffer as he had to. Let's talk about those extra appearances. The first one occurs in Recoded. I don't want to go into details. A data version of Sora must pass a test to see if he will be able to withstand pain. The guardian of the test is a data version of Roxas. Without a doubt, he was chosen because he has felt the most pain. I won't show the entire scene as I included most of it in the Sora video, but as a summary, Sora determines that it's worth holding onto the pain, even if it's the only thing you have, because that pain can connect you to others. Everything that can connect you to others is worth it. Roxas, who suffered great pain and could not bear it, responds with fury.
It's way past time that you learned what real hurt feels like!
When the fight ends, Sora asserts that he has indeed felt Roxas' pain and that has helped him connect with him. Roxas realizes that he does feel better after sharing his pain with Sora, and thus it is revealed that Sora has passed the test. But after that, the scene continues a bit more. If I'm not mistaken, it's a way to show how the fusion of Sora and Roxas would have been if it had happened under better circumstances.
Are you gonna go back home?
I don't know if I really have one. But there's a place I'd like to be.
A place? Where? Oh! What's this feeling? I've got memories that don't belong to me. A place to call home. And a sunset that's comforting. My first and my last
summer vacation.
You can rest easy. I've got you now.
The next extra appearance is in Dream Drop Distance. As he dives into the dream worlds, Sora manages to have a conversation with Roxas. This time, they are the real Sora and Roxas, and for the first time, they talk. Roxas laments that he could have been the hero, and Sora the sacrifice. Sora responds, "That's bullshit! Screw sacrifices or anything! Roxas has value as a person, and they both should live." So much drama over Xion sacrificing herself, over Roxas sacrificing himself, and when the one who benefits from the sacrifice arrives, Sora, he is the only one to reject it. He is the one who will strive to find a third option, one where everyone lives. And precisely that determination is what makes Roxas smile. That goodness that Roxas lost but Sora still has is what makes him worthy of being the one who lives. And now, even Roxas sees it. Sora also meets Xion. We saw in Kingdom Hearts 2 how Roxas reacted from within Sora on many occasions. How does Roxas react upon seeing Xion?
Why am I...
Roxas shares his memories with Sora and he can barely bear their weight. So much for saying that nobody's done feel, but Sora almost explodes from feeling everything Roxas felt, and this is what helps him uncover Xemnas' great lie.
You know, right? Because you all have hearts. Axel, and Roxas, and Naminé, and that other girl. I felt what Roxas felt. And they laughed together, got mad, and they grieved. You have to have a heart to cry.
It's about time you noticed.
Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in 2005, 3 in 2019. 14 years of difference. For 14 years, Roxas' story was one of tragedy. But since the secret ending of Birth by Sleep, blank points, it was clear that Kingdom Hearts 3 would be about healing pain and saving those who suffer, including Roxas. Indeed, that's what happened. If you enjoy this tragic story and believe it should have ended here, I respect your opinion and no one would judge you for closing the video here and now, but many of us eagerly awaited the grand return of Roxas, and Kingdom Hearts 3 finally gave it to us. Before going straight to it, Kingdom Hearts 3 has a very good moment reminiscent of Kingdom Hearts 2, where Sora briefly feels what Roxas feels. When he sits in a high place to eat ice cream, he has a brief vision, but Sora no longer feels confused. He already knows who Roxas is, knows what he has suffered, and knows that he is going to save him, so he leaves him with a small message of friendship.
Sora, you okay?
Yeah, fine. I'm with you.
During the game, preparations are made to try to resurrect Roxas, in particular, an empty replica to put his heart in, but they don't get far enough until the final battle. Canonically, Sora goes to help Aqua and Ventus before Kairi and Axel, so Roxas is the last of the fallen heroes to come back to life. Although Shion's memories faded, they kept the documents, which allowed them to create a second Shion. Finally, the organization obtained their malleable puppet. But in this fight, she encounters Sora and Axel, and it seems to remind her of him and Roxas. Shion hesitates to deliver the final attack to Axel, and Sora intervenes in his own way, with kindness. Shion attacks with pain, all her memories flooding back, and then her best friend calls her by her name.
Wait! It's all right! You can stop now! It's all right!
Shion!
Shion remembers everything, but Xemnas, once again, is going to get rid of her for being a traitor. Her, Sora, and Kairi are knocked out. Axel, too injured to move. And then...
The power comes in response to a need, not a desire. Remember all the pain he's caused, the people he's hurt. Now make that your power!
Hands off my friends.
It cannot be.
At the speed of light, Roxas' heart pulls itself from Sora, enters his replica in another world, and returns in a flash. This is a triumphant return, and it intensifies by making Xemnas eat shit. For once, it's Roxas who knows everything, and Xemnas who is completely clueless. Roxas enjoys every moment of this interaction.
I owe my return to many. Some of them people you knew.
Ansem the Wise, Zexion.
And others too. It seems you're not as good at winning over people's hearts as you think.
Xemnas leaves and Sykes blocks Sora's path. Roxas and Xion join him to help. The three who couldn't coexist, fighting together. The song that plays during this battle is Hearts as One. Not only is it a triumphant version of the other promise, it's also a combination of the themes of Roxas, Xion, and Sora. Moreover, in Kingdom Hearts, your party members are usually much weaker than you, but in this battle, Roxas moves incredibly fast, hits like a truck and is invincible to all damage. You may control Sora, but this is Roxas' fight. In the Remind DLC, this battle was expanded even further. Instead of leaving, Xemnas joins the battle and immobilizes both Sora and Kairi. Roxas, Xion, and Axel, the three friends, prepare to fight together one last time against their former oppressors, and then something magical happens. Since that iconic battle in Kingdom Hearts 2, Roxas has been giving strength to Sora, but this time, it's Sora who gives strength to Roxas. And you are allowed to control Roxas once again as you beat not only Sykes but also Xemnas, finally having the satisfaction of beating up the one who caused so much suffering. When the battle ends, Sora leaves to continue this war against Xehanort. Roxas and Axel are surprised by Xion's crying. Both knew that Sora and the others were working hard to resurrect Roxas, but from Xion's perspective, she believed she was going to die forever. Suddenly, she is alive, free, and with her two friends. This is the precious reunion of these three characters we had been looking forward to so much.
Guess I should have brought some ice cream.
Shortly after, young Xehanort, Xemnas, and Ansem fall. The final scenes of the three are very interesting, but today let's focus on Xemnas. While Roxas, Xion, and Axel regained their ability to feel very early on, it is now, on his deathbed, that Xemnas is starting to feel again. Why did it take him so long? It turns out that Xemnas deliberately rejected the ability to feel because for him, feeling is painful and he wanted to avoid that pain at all costs. Right now, the only thing he feels is that by manipulating his companions and being betrayed by them, by being here, dying alone, he feels loneliness and pain. In his final moments, Xemnas feels what he made Roxas feel for much of his life. With these words, Xemnas admits that our heroes, Roxas, Xion, Axel, and also Sora and the others, are much stronger than him for being able to face pain.
My first surge of emotion in years. For as long as I can remember. And it's loneliness. Do you see? A heart is just pain.
Pain is being human, Xemnas.
Really? It must take incredible strength.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is Sora's game. What we just saw is the moment of prominence for Roxas, Xion, and Axel, who become background secondary characters during the final conflicts. But the ending gives us one more satisfaction. We see Roxas and Axel in the clock tower. Xion joins. For the first time, we see her dressed in something that is not the Organization 13 code. Even Sykes joins, having redeemed himself by secretly betraying the organization. And then the old friends of Roxas from Kingdom Hearts 2 show up, who found out about the whole Matrix mess and decided to become true friends with Roxas. Not only is Roxas free and surrounded by friends, a life completely different from his enslaved and solitary existence, the ending shows us that all the main characters make it a habit to gather and have fun on Destiny Islands. Where before there were only Sora, Riku, and Kairi, now we see Riku, Donald, Goofy, Mickey, Naminé, Roxas, Xion, Axel, Sykes, Hayner, Pence, Oled, Aqua, Ventus, and Terra. You may have forgotten the promises they made in Days and left unfulfilled, but if you remember, this ending is even more beautiful. In the end, they did get to go to the beach. This is the complete story of Roxas. What I haven't told you is that Roxas is my favorite character, not just from Kingdom Hearts, but in fiction in general. Look, I've had his Keyblades for years and it still feels special to wield them. I don't know why he's the most popular character in the franchise for everyone else, and honestly, I'm worried that he is. We have several heroic characters with inspiring stories, but it turns out that when you put someone sad, angry, alone, and suffering, with a simple dream like wanting to live in peace with their loved ones, that's when people say, "That's me." There is something in him that completely connects you to his story. I still don't quite know what it is exactly. If I stop to think about it, several reasons come to mind. Maybe it's because I empathize with his unambitious desire to live a peaceful life with his best friends. Or because, despite being such a simple desire, the universe itself refuses to let him live that way. Or because, despite being such a painful journey, there is a happy ending. It may be because of how he reacts to suffering with profound sadness or visceral fury, reactions very atypical of a protagonist in this type of stories. It might simply be due to the enormous contrast between his very happy moments and the immense tragedy that surrounds him. I don't know, it's like trying to define why I enjoy the protagonist of Disco Elysium so much. I think what connects us is the pain.
As if we'd been connected. Like, right then we shared the same hurt. If somehow it brings me closer to people in that kind of way, then carrying around a little hurt can't be all that bad.
There was one last thing I needed in order for me to be whole again. A connection. Sora helped me find my way back here. To my friends.
Roxas!
New escape! Get ready!